Okay. And let me see here. The board also reviewed and took action to deny litigation on claim number 220044 on the vote of denying the litigation. It was 4-1. Yes, do I have a first on that?
Wasn't that the same one?
No. Litigation.
I recommend that we move and deny the litigation.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Roll call. We don't do? Yes.
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 This was the litigation
This
matter?
is the litigation, yeah.
Did you need to change something?
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I was
That's
not
okay.
clear. So on the litigation, no. No, wait.
Here,
Yes,
let's-
no. On the
Student matter?
the student matter, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to go back and change that.
Do we need to
Sorry.
revote, or does it? It's fine?
Go back and change it.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you. We're going to do the pledge. Can I have, let me have Mrs. Grubbs, please. Would you lead us?
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Can we get an approval of our agenda as written?
I move that we approve the agenda as written.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
President Seda?
Yes.
Trustee Moss? Yes. Trustee Ferrucci?
Yes.
Trustee Maselli?
Yes.
And Trustee Grubbs?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and next, Dr. Young, you're up.
I'd like to welcome Principal Dolsky to the podium, and this is one of the part of the board meeting that we very much enjoy, which is to get a highlight of the nice aspects that are taking place throughout the district. So welcome, Ms. Dolsky. And we're going to hear about the music program at Benicia Middle School. So welcome.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. Tonight, I would like to take the opportunity to showcase our Viking band. Over the years, our band has been very impressive, not only at Benicia Middle School, but throughout BUSD. Just to see the growth and the progression from elementary school through middle school onto the high school. However, during distance learning, it was a real struggle. So I noted a few things here that were our hurdles over distance learning. Enrollment in the BMS band program was very low. We had a really difficult time just filling our band classes at the beginning of this school year. What do? We had to brainstorm. How do we fill up our classes and re-engage our kids with music? Our previous band director, Ms. Krisman, who is now at the high school, was amazing during virtual learning. She held lessons, she ran online performances, and yet our enrollment was still down. We didn't have the students signing up, so over the summer, I brainstormed with our current band director, Paul Hanna, and we developed a new course. Students were exposed to a variety of musical genres, learned how to read notes, and learned how to play the ukulele. So I wanted to show the video up there, Wipeout. That is our 7th and 8th grade students. I see it on your screen.
Maybe not.
There should be sound. Yes. Yes, several video clips embedded here, so we can. But I can keep talking a little bit about it. So we have one course that's for 7th and 8th graders, and then we also had a music half. Oh, I'll let you go back to the slides now. Am I up? Okay. Okay. Okay, so just this week, this is our sixth graders. Mr. Hanna asked if they could stop by our office and do a little performance. So these are our sixth grade ukulele stars, just kind of huddled in the front of the office. They have only been playing since January. Since it's a wheel rotation, they have a different elective each quarter. So sorry, hopefully this link, can we click on that little music link right there? Yep. So that was just to highlight, how are we going to increase just the involvement in band and kind of spark that curiosity again. Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Okay, so our students who were enrolled in band, who signed up continuing, from elementary school, or if they were in band last year during virtual learning, we have Norse, concert, and symphonic. And just recently, we were able to visit the elementary schools. We went to all 4 sites, which was fantastic. So this is, I think, Robert Semple. Those are all the elementary school kids sitting out on the blacktop, and our band is in front of them, getting ready to play. And here's our students up at Matthew Turner. All right, another clip. Okay. All right. And so also there are just a few photos from, they were able to participate in band reviews again. So just wanted to highlight a couple of those photographs also. And it just was so nice to be able to go back up to the elementary schools to continue that connection, just and foster, the upcoming kids and hopefully spark that curiosity around music. And that's it. All right. Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate seeing the band. Both of my kids did participate in band, elementary, middle, and high school. Part of the Solano County honored jazz band. So it's really good to see. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
You're welcome. All right.
Thank you so much, Lindsay Dolsky. Appreciate it. And to you kids out there, join band, join orchestra, whatever it is, join it, be part of it. It's fun. I used to be in band too. In elementary school, I played the trombone. Crazy. Okay. Our next item up is our reports, and the first person, and actually the only one here tonight, is Brandon Martin with Benicia High School. Thanks for being here.
Of course. Hello, I'm Brandon Martin. I am the rally commissioner at Benicia High School. Some of you may recognize me. So last week we had an intramural dodgeball tournament along with the Spirit Week, which had a lot of participation and good competition in that. So that was a big success. We are currently holding elections for the 2022-2023 ASB positions and leadership officers as well next year. On Monday, the 21st, we will be opening bids for prom and it will be held April 23rd at Yin Ranch in Vacaville, California. Our ticket sales for prom begin Monday the 21st as well, and until Friday, April 8th. There will be a price increase after the first week of sales. On Wednesday, March 23rd, we have a meeting with all the seniors that are looking to participate in the annual Panther Bowl this year, and cheerleading, and both the football players will be able to participate in that. Leadership is also in the midst of planning an intramural basketball tournament, otherwise known as March Madness, to follow along with the theme of this month. And we also have a multicultural week coming up as well. The wrestling team recently just sent 5 students to the CIF state qualifying tournament and is the first Benicia High team so far to win a North Coast D2 section team title. That's all, sorry.
That's okay. That's a lot of good stuff. Prom and elections and all that good stuff. And thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure to meet you. And at this time, you are welcome to leave and skedaddle if you want to go do some homework or whatever else you have on your plate today. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you. You guys have a nice rest of your evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, we're going to move on to our superintendent's report. Dr. Young.
Thank you, President Zeta. Just a few things from me. First thing is, wanted to point out this is day 4 since the mask is highly recommended but not required, and just want to continue to encourage everybody out there to support one another, whatever decision that they decide to make as a student or an adult. And I know that we're continuing to support everyone as we continue to move forward. Next thing is we have our second community forum with Epic Education as we continue to focus on equity and opportunity, striving to do it in a way that builds community. And that will be on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, the 23rd at 6:30. So I know that invitation has been put out. And then the last item, real quick, and I'll provide more information in my board update tomorrow. But I just wanted to congratulate the high school because they had their WASC visit. And WASC is Western Association of Schools and Colleges. And it's a big deal. You know, you go through this review process. And 3 years ago, they went through it. And you want to get a 6-year accreditation. And they got that 3 years ago, which is a big deal with a visit at year 3. So they had the visit last week, and they come back and they meet with staff and community members and administration, et cetera, teachers classified. And they got a lot of really good reports. So it came out very positive. So I just wanted to congratulate all the great work that's taken place at the high school. And then I believe Liberty is going to be going through that midway evaluation soon as well. So congratulations to the high school. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, Benicia High School. Woo. Now we're going to talk about board reports, and I'm going to just start it off really quickly. I attended the Legislative Action Week this week with Assembly Member Grayson and Senator Dodd. It was a Zoom type of meeting, and there was 4 basic things that they were that we were talking to them about. It was all the school boards, a lot of Northern California school board people that got together and met with them. One was the increase in the local control funding formula to heavily invest beyond the COLA, which is cost of living, to attract and retain high-level employees. And we shared that we have inflation. Of course, now we really have inflation now. Declining enrollment, pension relief increases are part of the problem, and we did tell them what we thought would be best for us. The next item was the school employer pension relief to try to get it to be a non-Prop 98 funding. So it's a directly funded for our pension relief fund. Next was the COVID ADA release to request a one-time COVID relief back to the 1920 school year, not 1920, but the 19 and 20 school year, as we are still having absences, and that number is reflected by the dollar amount that we received. And there's got to be a better way to work around that. And the final thing, which I don't think affects us very much, was the home to school transportation. And there are a lot of districts that are struggling to get their kids back and forth to school. So that is what I have to report out. Thanks. Anybody else have anything? No? Oh, it's so quiet. Okay. Next up are our comments from members of the public. BUSD has moved to in-person board meetings. Masks are strongly recommended but not required. All functions of the board meeting, including public comments, will take place in person. Members of the public may address the board at a regular meeting on any item within the board's jurisdiction. Speaker cards are available on the entrance table. Please note the item you wish to speak to and submit a card to the board secretary. The board president will call all the open session general comments during the public comment item. Comments for items on the agenda will be called during a specific item. Comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes per speaker, or the board may limit the total time to 20 minutes per item with the timer displayed on the monitors. By law, no action may be taken on any item raised during public comment periods, and matters that may be referred to staff for placement on a future agenda of the governing board. Please be reminded to keep your comments respectful, as oftentimes there are students watching. Do we have any comments today? We have no comments today. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, whew. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 11, which is our consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered by the board to be routine and will be approved by the board in one motion. There will be no discussion on these items unless the members of the board, staff, or public request specific items to be pulled and discussed. So, do I have a motion to accept the consent calendar?
I'll move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
President Seda?
Yes.
Trustee Moss? Yes. Trustee Ferrucci?
Yes.
Trustee Maselli?
Yes.
And Trustee Gross?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. So now we're moving on to item number 13. Non-consent action items. Consideration and approval of the updated course outlines for CTE Advanced Dance, CTE Advanced Digital Media, and AP Seminar. Mrs. Rice, did I miss something? Oh, I'm sorry. I always go too fast for my own good. Sorry, Stephanie. Let's go to item 12, communication or informational items. The A to G improvement grant. That's the first item. So, Dr. Beatson, sorry, I didn't mean to skip over you.
Thank you, not a problem at all. Good evening, and thank you. I'm excited to share with you for our discussion our proposed A to G improvement grant. It is a one-time grant that is, the purpose of the grant is to increase the number of students with a particular focus on our unduplicated students. So those are our income eligible English learners and foster and homeless youth who graduate high school A to G eligible. And A to G is a sequence of courses that fulfills the entrance requirements for a UC or CSU. Students need to get a C or better in those courses. And so our graduation requirements are not 100% A to G. We're very close. There are a few additional courses that we don't require for graduation that students need to take in order to be A to G eligible. The other part of the grant is to have students have the services that they need to be able to complete those courses successfully. So there's several requirements. Again, it's to increase the number of high school students who graduate with A to G eligibility. And the grant came, you had the possibility to get it in 3 kind of sections. We qualified for 2 of them. One was the A to G access grant, and that means we want to provide more access for students because our current completion rate is less than 67% for what percentage of our high school students currently are graduating A to G eligible. And then the other was A to G learning loss mitigation, and that was for unduplicated students, or actually, I'm sorry, that wasn't for only unduplicated students, but that was, remember, if you might remember, we had students that were able to make up classes that they have failed during distance learning, so that was part of this as well. And it does require a 2-board meeting, a discussion item, which we're having tonight. I will bring it back for your approval at our next board meeting. So what can this grant be used for? It can be used for professional development, comprehensive types of advising and tutoring, expanding access to coursework, providing some AP fees for unduplicated students, so helping students with the cost of that, and then allowing students who received failing grades to retake courses. So those are the allowable uses of this grant. We are receiving $153,337, and we have until 2026 to expend the funds. And so I know there's a lot of words on the next couple of slides. I apologize for that. I worked with our high schools to talk about, we really think about this I think about it in 3 ways. How do we get more students to access the courses and take the courses? And so right now we don't have gates to get into AP courses or anything like that. Any student who really wants to try can take those courses, but how do we do additional outreach to get students into those courses? That's one. How do we continue to support them while they're in the course so that they don't get grades of D's and F's and then they're not A to G eligible? And then if by chance they do, that third prong to me is if they do struggle in those classes and end up with a D or F, how do we help them retake those courses so that they get the grade that would make them A to G eligible? So as we were talking about what kinds of things can we do with this amount of money over these years, we were trying to think about it in those 3 areas. And so what we came up with was to put the majority of the funding to increase sections at the high school. So to offer some tutoring options for students while they're in the classes. So if they're struggling, that they have some time, maybe it's during some access and we can pay some kind of create some sort of tutoring option where kids can go get help in the moment so that they don't get the grades that would take them out of that A to G. The second piece would be to provide some courses for some credit recovery. So if they get, currently, only students who receive an F are eligible for credit recovery because of the scope of what that would look like. And we're proposing to expand it to any student who gets less than a C in an A to G course has the opportunity to retake it. And we can do that both through either perhaps a 0 period or a 7th period, and then in the summertime, so that kids can retake the courses and work to get that C or better. We want to continue to offer a wide range of AP classes, as we've said, and then, but within that, really focus on doing some extra outreach to get students into the classes that may not feel like they know about them or that they might be successful in them. So how do we really do that expanded outreach?
So if you don't,
Yeah, absolutely.
the credit recovery, have we fleshed out what those, is that going to be like the online programs?
Typically, we have used
I would figure,
Yep,
yeah.
Edgenuity for the high school,
Yeah.
because those are all A to G approved already. Absolutely. And so we have, like I said, we have a more truncated version of that now. Oftentimes it happens in the summer. So if a student fails the class, they take it over in the summer. We have been able to support some students sort of in the moment. If they fail first semester, we can tuck it in. And that worked actually pretty well last year when they did a 4x4. So a student failed, they could take it again second semester. So those are the 3 ways that we're trying to, we're thinking about supporting students in those. And then the other is continued professional development for our high school staff. So really helping them know what the A to G requirements are, providing opportunities for them. So these are ideas around professional development. We wouldn't be able to do all of them, but the advanced placement trainings that happen, getting more teachers to do that, continuing our CTE pathways, working on smarter balance, because all of those are ways that students are college and career ready, and then therefore more likely to be A to G as well. And then really looking at strategies like universal design for learning, looking at grading practices, and I know the high school's already talking a lot about that, differentiated instruction, building relations, and our equity work that we're doing. The other thing that we're going to be working with both our Liberty High School and Benicia High School on is there is a component in our new student information system, ARIES, called an academic plan. That's a 4-year plan, so students would create that, and the dashboard for it is pretty amazing because it's color-coded and it shows what students, if they're on track for A to G, how their grades are, and so it's this matrix that you can see and a counselor could pull up, and you work with a student and you see where if they're on track for A to G. And so really putting that in place.
And I have a question.
Absolutely.
So I know if we're looking at, of course, 9th through 12th grade, is there any conversation happening, like even at 8th grade level, so that when because some families, I mean, to be real, like everyone doesn't really know the pathway. We might think that they do, but unfortunately, we know that that's not the case. And so we find students, by the time they're a junior, then they've missed the opportunity. So are we having conversations or like a strategic plan in place for 8th grade, whether it's the second semester of 8th grade, so that when they do get to the 9th grade, it's not like, oh, we have to do this. So, you know what I mean? Like just a plan, kind of like a conversation, outreach and conversations with parents.
That's a great point, and we can actually build that in. We started in a small step when we did the 8th grade to 9th grade transition day. I don't even know what we call it, where they walked up to the high school and they had some presentations and they talked a lot to the students about that. But I want to emphasize your point, which is we need to do that outreach for parents as well. I know it's in their handbook and it's in information that passes out, but how do we do more of that? So I will absolutely make a note of that and we can add that in. Great point.
Yeah, I mean, kids coming into the high school, the information they're getting is good and it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that needs to be highlighted. The other thing, Leslie, you did kind of mention on the slide, but I was curious, is we have been working really hard on strengthening and increasing our CTE pathways. So this will very well fit into this plan as we get more and more kids based in that.
Sorry. This is, this doesn't happen at Liberty? None of this happens at Liberty?
Some of it will. Oftentimes, the students who, this is preventative from falling behind in credits. So some of the students choose to go to Liberty because of Liberty's program. Some have fallen far behind that they may not be AGG eligible, but all the courses that they take at Liberty are the same ones from BHS. So they, if they graduate, those courses are A to G, but typically those students are not finishing an A to G plan.
And what about the career, the CTE pathways? Do they have that there?
They do not. We've tried, because of scheduling, it makes it tough. If students at Liberty want to head over to Benicia High, if there's a course later in the day, they can after they finish their courses here. But because their schedules are two very different, they don't line up perfectly, it makes it very tricky.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions or feedback? Okay, so we'll make those adjustments and I'll bring this back next time for approval. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Health and safety guidance update for the 2021-2022 school year, along with updated memorandums of understanding. Dr. Young.
Thank you very much. Just want to bring this to your attention that with the new announcement from the state regarding masks that we had to get together with both of our unions, and I just want to, not to sound self-congratulatory, but wanted to obviously recognize the strong working relationship we have with both of our associations, and we made really quick work of this because we had to go back and take a look at the two MOUs that we put together, one for BTA, one for CSEA in August when we were entering into this year, and because we had the change in the mask and some other health changes, we got back together because we had to change the MOU, which you have in your packet. It's much shorter. BTAs, I won't read through the whole thing. They're just 4 simple points there that the new MOU states that it reflects the safety guidelines that align with CDPH, that for both of the unions that this new MOU supersedes the one in August. For the BTA, we wanted to note in there that we took out that discipline grid. I know that was of some concern in previous board meetings. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. It's a really informational item to let you know that great working relationship with both unions went quickly. And both of these MOUs reflect them looking at the safety guidelines, which are really the big changes, the mask piece.
Excellent. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thanks for the associations too. It's good. Didn't take
Yes,
long.
thank you.
Yep.
You guys, you know who you are. The next item is an informational item regarding the sunshine of the Benicia Teachers Association with BUSD. And I'm not, okay, Mr. Young, Dr. Young.
Sure, thank you.
Please, thank you.
So this is something you do every year. It's not an action item, but you bring it forward so both unions and management can announce what they are opening for the negotiations process. CSEA is not here tonight. I believe they will be coming at a proceeding board meeting, but I'd like to invite, I believe, Ms. Olson from BTA to let the board know what items BTA will be opening.
I'm the lucky speaker.
There you go.
Okay,
Hello.
can we hear me?
welcome.
Good,
Yeah.
good evening. Okay, I'm just gonna read because otherwise I'll screw it up. The Benicia Teachers
confident.
Association hereby submits the following initial proposal for reopener bargaining with the Benicia Unified School District. All terms and conditions of the current BTA-BUSD collective bargaining agreement will remain unchanged with the exception of agreements that are reached on the following articles. BTA believes in maintaining stellar achievement as one of the highest performing districts in California. Therefore, BTA is opening Article 2 wages. BTA believes in continuing to cultivate a system of social, emotional, and physical wellness for employees so they can continually improve practice. Therefore, BTA is opening Article 5, health and welfare benefits. BTA believes that safe and welcoming schools help students and staff reach their potential. Therefore, BTA is opening Article 8, safety. And BTA believes every student has a voice that deserves to be heard. Therefore, BTA is opening Article 9 class size. Those are our reopeners.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ms. Olson. So from the district's position, we have three. Article 2, wages, health and welfare benefits. The district proposes negotiating wages and health and welfare benefits in order to maintain fiscal solvency while balancing having competitive workforce. Article 8, safety. The district proposes to work on the language in the safety article as it was discussed during last year's negotiations. And Article 11, evaluations. District proposes to review and revise the evaluation article and forms in collaboration with the joint BTA BUSD evaluation committee. So again, this is procedural. We have to do this every year. So.
Okay, great. Thank you, and thanks for being here to present. Appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and move on to item number 13. These are our non-consent action items. The first one is for consideration and approval of the updated course outlines for CTE Advanced Dance, CTE Advanced Digital Media, and AP Seminar. Now, Mrs. Rice, would you please join us? Thank you.
Absolutely. Good evening, board. Good evening, cabinet. My name is Stephanie Rice. I'm Director of Educational Services, and I have 3 courses to bring forward tonight for your consideration and approval. They are 3 courses that you have already approved, but we are seeking updates, and I think you'll be really pleased to hear. So the first course is Advanced Dance. The course outline itself will not be changed. It's already a very rigorous course that you've approved. We can just now honor our students with it becoming an honor course. So that means it will be weighted, and the students can then receive credit on the 5-point scale. And if they get a C+ or higher and pass the final exam, they can also obtain college credit now for this course. Do you have any questions on this course as you've already approved it? No? Okay.
So it's just basically, everything's staying the same. There are already courses that we're teaching. We're not going to use any more budget money or anything, but they're going to be weighted differently as a 5-point option. Like they could learn up to 5 points.
Yes, because it's already a very rigorous course that you've already approved. Just to give a quick recap, the students, this is their 3rd level dance course. The students create warm-up dances, they choreograph solos, they perform in the school performances, they're doing research reports on the different styles of dance, etc. So it's already very rigorous, but we're just now able to offer it as an honors course.
That's great. Thank you.
All right. And the second course I bring forth is the Advanced Digital Media. Same thing as I just explained. This course now is also able to be offered as an honors course. So again, they receive credit with the weighted 5-point scale. There will be no change to this course. To recap this course, to put it into perspective, if you've been to any of our BUSD events, such as my daughter plays varsity basketball, and if you've seen it live streamed or been there to see the kids behind the scenes, by now it's a year-long course. By the going into the 2nd semester, the kids are running the show, and you might see Mr. Kim in the background just being a facilitator, but they are recording, doing the sound, running the sound checks, etc. So we can now offer it as an honors course. Any questions on that? All right. And lastly, AP Seminar, again, a course that you've approved. This one gives the students the opportunity to still take it as a G elective course as they currently take it, or they have the option to take this as a B English course. So it gives them more opportunity and choice there. The other thing that it opens up is for our 10th graders. 10th grade now have an opportunity to take an additional AP course if they decide to take this. So as far as the way the course is, it's a capstone course. It pairs with the AP research. That's not going to change. It just opens the door for what the students can take it as. So do you have any questions on that?
Thank you.
Right. Yes, it's
So-
exciting.
So, thank you for sharing all that information.
Absolutely.
I want to see if we can get a motion on the table for consideration or for approval of the updated course outlines for CTE Advanced Dance, CTE Advanced Digital Media, and AP Seminar. Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, roll call, please.
President Seda,
Yes.
Trustee Moss, Trustee Ferrucci, Trustee Maselli,
Yes.
and Trustee Grubbs.
Yes.
Great, thank you. We're going to move on to our 13.2, which is review and approval of the 21-22 second interim financial report for Benicia Unified School District. And I'm going to invite Mr. Rayhill to speak to that.
Yes, good evening. We have the second interim financial report for your action tonight to review and approve. We start with some spreadsheets here. If we can bring up the Excel file first. And we highlight some of our key fiscal factors that we look at each time on the next tab. And we start with the current fiscal year, the 21-22 school year. And we go out, we're required to go out, project 2 years out. We've extended it into that third 24-25 year. So we always start with our known salary related costs. We have our employees that are on salary schedules, and as they move along the salary schedules, we have increased costs, not just the salary, but the mandatory employee benefits associated with those. And as we know retirements that happen each year, including the 22-23 year, we start to factor those in with some savings as some of the senior staff is replaced with some of the less senior staff as we go forward with hiring. So we don't know exactly what that is in the outer years, and we adjust that as that information becomes available. In our retirement systems for our employees, they've been struggling a little bit in prior years. They're doing better recently, but the rates are still going up for our retirement plan. So we reflect the costs in our budgets. This 21-22 year also saw an increase in unemployment, mainly due to some COVID type leaves, but also a positive offset for some workers' comp rates. We then go into other revenues and expenditures. And over the last couple of years, we have it listed here as COVID-19 funding and expenditures, but really probably the next time when we present this in that outer 22-23 year, it's more along the lines of state one-time grants, which are designated pretty much for the same reasons as COVID-19 funding what existed related to different types of learning loss mitigation. And those will be detailed out more in the LCAP. And so you can see that we had larger chunks of funds to spend in this 21-22 years at our expenses of about $3.7 million. We're pretty close to on track. If we don't spend all of that this year, it will carry over into 22-23. So as the year winds down towards June, we'll have a better idea on what our carryovers will be from that pot. And then in that second column for 22-23, again, we have the next round, round 3 of that type of funding at about $1.7 million. And so Dr. Beatson is working with the schools, the school communities, and we'll be presenting that at a future board meeting as part of the LCAP. Okay, and within our special ed program, we continue to monitor that and adjust as student needs change. And at this point in the outer year, well, in the current year and in the outer year, it looks like we're needing to increase some of the programs there and add some staffing to provide those services. Our big section in this next multicolored middle of the page is considering our LCFF factors, which are local control funding formula, which is how the state of California funds public schools. And we look at our student enrollment as a guiding light. And Benicia, like most other school districts in California, are declining in its enrollment. The state is just experiencing a decline in that student population. And what the state does is it doesn't fund us based on just kids enrolling in school, but on their attendance in school. And so they call that the average daily attendance of students. And it's historically been 96.5%, which means about 96 or 97 kids out of 100 attend our schools. That was pre-COVID. As we came back from COVID, it's been quite low, quite lower than that, in the low 90s, sometimes in the 80s, depending on the day and the time of the year and how many students were being impacted by COVID. And so we're putting our attendance reports together for the current year, and we will be reporting out after the April 15th date to see what that final ADA percentage is for our district. And so we'll monitor that. There are some hold harmless clause to give districts about a year of hold harmless. And so basically, if you have declining enrollment, you're going to feel that decline, not in the current year, but in the following year. So this year, because of the hold harmless clause, it was a very small change of about a -5. Next year, because it's catching up to us, all those hold harmless goes away, plus the potential for a lower ADA factor. It's potentially down 274 ADA. So that's a big deal. We'll see if any of the proposals out there come to light. Right now, it's based on the greater of the current or prior ADA average daily attendance percentage, but there's a proposal to say maybe instead of just the prior attendance percentage, maybe you do an average of the prior 3 years, which would help us, and it would just kind of spread the pain out a little bit longer. So we'll keep our eyes on it. That hasn't been approved yet, but it's kind of floating out there to see if that comes up in the May revise. And about 25% of our student population falls in the category of English learner, foster youth, or enrolled in the free and reduced price meal program. We adjust our staffing each year based on student enrollment. Right now, we'll have to update the 22-23 column because we've been meeting with the principals and special ed, so that net zero number will probably change the next time you see this. But for now, we just kept that flat for this second interim financial. You'll be getting a draft budget at the end of May, which also not only presents the budget for next year, but it also gives you another interim report for the current year. So one of the things that the governor and the state provides is a cost of living adjustment in the budgets. And at this time, at the January budget proposal for 22-23, it was published at 5.33%. So we've seen some COLAs a little bit higher than that since the January proposal, around 6%. He's working with the governor's working with his Department of Finance now. It's March, April, and then in May, the governor comes out with a May revised budget. And so we'll see what his final cost of living allowance is for the budget year at that May revised budget. And then that last line kind of shows you when you factor in all of those ADA numbers and projected COLAs, kind of the dollar amount that our district would either be receiving, or in the case of 22-23, because of that decrease in ADA, would actually be getting less funds in the 22-23 year based on those assumptions I just went through. So that's what we have right now. We'll be following closely the May revise, and we can update that the next time you see the financial report. The next tab, just as a document to kind of visually, it's a lot of numbers, just a visual reminder of our retirement plans. And that shows the increases in the rates that a district pays into those retirement plans for our employees. And just showing how those rates are increasing over the years and the additional costs that our district pays into those.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It looks like after 22-23, the STRS rates will not be going up anymore.
As of, yes, as of this date.
Okay. STRS looks like it's slight. Okay, thank you.
Okay. And on the next tab, we put in a pie chart, our revenues currently in our current year 21-22, about $54.7 million in revenues that our district is receiving. Most of that in the 3/4 of the pie chart in that blue purple color is our state LCFF, the local control funding formula. The state is funding us based on our student attendance. It's both a base amount and a supplemental amount for that 25% of our student population that fits into one of those categories. And then the remaining 14 or 15% is actually more than that, about 20%, 19-20% comes from other state and federal funding. So that's our revenues at $54.7 million. On the next tab, we put a pie chart together to show our expenditures, which is more than the revenues at $56.5 million due to the fact that we don't necessarily spend all of basically our categorical funds in one year. To the extent we don't, we would carry them over and spend them in the following year. As is the case with this. We have the different categories of expenditures as a school district. Spend most of our budget on with our employees and the services they provide with the salaries and benefits. Also, the remainder would be spent on our supplies and services at about 16%. So we have our $56.5 million in expenditures. At the end of the day, on the next tab, we have our pie chart with what our fund balance is projected to be at June 30th, 2022, providing for the state reserve, the local board policy reserve, as well as some carryovers, commitments, and any restricted programs that are set aside. And we have been utilizing those one-time funds for a lot of things in regards to instructional books and whatnot. So a big part of that restricted program, not all of it, but there is a part of that is books. So when our one-time funds run out, we will be able to continue providing for those programs in the future.
Don't mind me asking, OPEB?
Yeah, that one is other post-employment benefits. And so right now we have a bridge for retirees, early retirees. As an example, if you've been with the district for the time period and you retire at 62, there's a bridge from 62 to 65. And it's like a safety net.
Thank
you. The next tab shows it's a summarized version of our operating deficit at the top, and then our projected fund balance on the bottom. And so our district in the current year is operating at a different deficit. It's okay because we've tagged it to those carryovers. And at the bottom part, you can see that our projected fund balance is still positive, and we're still providing for our required reserves. We definitely, our big thing with that is just continuing to monitor our student enrollment as it continues to decline, and keep a close eye on that, work with our principals and our community. So next year, We are projecting 2 additional TK classes, which is about 48 additional TK kids, because the state is changing the rules about when 4-year-olds can come to school. So in the past, 5-year-olds came to kindergarten, and now soon all 4-year-olds will be able to come to transitional kindergarten. But for next year, only if you turn 4 by February 2nd. So if you have a young child that is 4 years old and will turn 5 by February 2nd, they can enroll in one of our TK schools. This year, it was 2 months before that, and so it wasn't open to as many 4-year-olds, but next year it's open to more 4-year-olds, and doing the math, it's about 2 new TK classes. Yeah, I think it is a line item that is there in case it is needed. We do the best to utilize the grants that we have available, and then also just the ongoing budgets we have to spend down before we would even consider tapping into that. If something was to happen and there was a big unexpected need, then we would be able to tap into that, but it's not the plan to, only as a kind of a plan B or a backup plan.
So Tim, I have another question, because right now we are taking advantage of a lot of one-time money grants that you have very talentedly, you've done a great job of crafting them over 3 years, extending out programs to 4, and it's allowed us to add additional support staffs and also move some salaries into those different categories in order to help us expand. So at some point, can we get, I guess what I'm wondering is how much are we really spending on each of those items from our extended category, from our other categories? Because I know we're not doing it all out of our general fund. We're doing some out of, and I don't know all the names of the budgets anymore. You've got COVID, you've got, extended school, you've got daytime after school support. I mean, we've got so many, which is wonderful. But, I keep thinking, at what point are we looking at expending beyond our means? So I guess that's my question to you, because it is a concern. We're watching, and we're going to be down another 300 kids. That's kind of scary. So can we get a detailed picture like that? Can you do that at some point for us?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it probably built into the LCAP, and if not, we can create a page outside of the LCAP, because it would be visible with what
right. But at some point, we're also going to have to come back and
Mhm.
reevaluate them and decide what we're going to keep, what we're going to move on with. But it would be helpful, at least for me. I don't know about anybody else, but I'd like to know, what are we spending on X, Y, and Z? Like Dr. Moss just talked about computers. Well, we're using some general fund, but I know we've had various grants that have also allowed us to tap into computers and to tap into various tech support items for kids. So what are we spending? What's so where is it all, I guess, is what I want to know. I want to see a breakdown. Yeah. Well, if we're going to be asked to make a decision, I guess what I want to make an informed, intelligent decision. And I'm feeling like I can't put my finger on those pieces to, you know, we see bits and pieces in different presentations, but I want to see it.
I want to thank Diane for that. Thank you, because I feel the same way.
Thank you.
Okay. And the next couple slides are just reminders of reasons to maintain a reserve, the critical responsibility about adopting a sound budget and protecting the district against unforeseen expenditures. We went in the time of crisis on the next slide, we were being issued what could be considered IOUs. And so we had to make sure that we had sufficient cash available to make our payroll. And so that's just kind of a long list of reasons to have those reserves. And then we just track on this last sheet our historical annual operations, and then the fund balances as well. And in summary on the PowerPoint, we want to maintain our positive financial certification, which we are providing our second interim financials as with a positive financial certification. It's based on our state adopted budget. Again, using that state LCFF and maintaining that 3% reserve. We're reminded on the next slide, it's how the LCFF is how the state funds schools. Currently, our average rate is about $9,629 per student. And that includes the base grant plus a bump for the students in the supplemental programs. It's about 25% of our population. And our next steps after tonight is, once approved by the school board, this second financial report will be filed with the county office and our California Department of Education. And the governor does revise his budget proposal in May with the May revised budget for 22-23. We come back to you at that second board meeting in May and share the impact that proposal has on it and provide you a draft budget at that time. And that then gets followed up with the final budget in June for your approval.
Tim, when is this due to the county?
It's actually, the due date is March 15th.
Oh, it is.
So we've already provided them that copy, and then we just follow up.
So
after
we're
your action
approving
today.
something that's already been submitted.
It's been submitted.
So we can't, okay.
Mhm.
So, because I was gonna ask if anybody wanted to hold off. So we'll just, until we got some more information about what the itemizations are.
Well, I'm not looking to hold off the budget. What I'm looking for is, come springtime, we're going to be needing to evaluate some of the steps we've taken. And what I'm asking is to have a more exact breakdown for us. You know, Tim's reporting and I feel very confident with what Tim is doing. And
Yes, yes.
so to that end, I need to say thanks, Tim. I think you do a great job, and I do feel really good. But I think in light of the fact there are so many pockets that we get from the state, and the state in their infinite wisdom keeps making them be restricted. So in some way, we're putting in those categoricals again, even though they tell us we have local control. So we know those are very opposite kinds of concepts. So with that said, I would like to see a breakdown of what that looks like in each of the restricted funds, so that we know exactly what we're talking about, so that when we get to that point in the year that we're being asked to make some decisions and or give some direction or make some recommendations, that we're doing it with data in front of us.
And then also upon approval, so say we approve tonight, we still will have the flexibility if we need to make any adjustments accordingly. Is that correct? I just want to make sure, like, if, I don't know.
So you'd be approving the second interim financial report tonight as presented.
Okay.
And we're still in the current
Okay,
year,
so-
and so with the 23, so at the next May meeting, you bring forward the budget, which also has the current year in it as well.
Thank you. So, any other questions? No? Okay, so can I get a motion, please?
I'll move to approve the 21-22 interim financial report for BUSD as presented.
I'll second, approve in the second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
President Seda.
Yes.
Trustee Moss.
Yes.
Trustee Ferrucci.
Yes.
Trustee Maselli.
Yes.
Trustee Krebs.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Rahal. We're done with our meeting. It's 8:12. I am going to adjourn us at 8:12 and remind you that next Thursday, April 7th, I'm not next Thursday. We've been here a lot lately. Thursday, April 7th is our next regular board meeting. Hope to see you all there.